afternoon. This is NTV At One. My name is Gladys Gachanja. Uhuru Kenyatta is in Kisumu, where he will be attending the funeral of Governor Anyang' Nyong'o's mother, Dorcas Owino Inrata Seme. Leader Raila Odinga and Raphael Tuju, as well as CAS Ken Obura, were among leaders who welcomed the president on his arrival at Kisumu Airport. As we look at what is happening in Raita Seme, I'm told our reporter, Zekis Mosama is the one covering that report, and for now, we're listening on that ceremony. Pictures and sound coming from that funeral service for Mama Dorcas, who is the late mother of Governor Anyang' Nyong'o. President Uhuru Kenyatta has arrived, and he is one of the dignitaries that is in attendance for this burial of the mother of Governor Anyang' Nyong'o of Kisumu County. Zakis Masame, as I mentioned earlier, is the one who is attending this service, and he'll give us more details of the same in our subsequent bulletins. In Laikipia County, they say they will carry on with their strike, which has entered its 11th day, until their demands are met. In disregard of an order, but this is in disregard of the order by the Nyeri Labour Court that declared the strike illegal and directed that the doctors resume their duties. The doctors say that Laikipia County has failed to meet their demands of ensuring a conducive working environment. They also say that the county has not honored a collective bargaining agreement that dictated that doctors be given promotions according to their qualification and experience.
Pa Laikipia County, kama ukiangalia county zingine, wanalipwa kama wanafunzi, kama interns ama kama junior medical officers. So hapo tunataka kulingana na CBA ambayo ilisainiwa mnamo mwaka 2017 March, ilikuwa inasema kuwa kila daktari atawekwa katika nyanja ambayo inahitajika. Lakini Laikipia County haijafanya hivyo. So tunataka wafanye hiyo. Hiyo kitu tunaweza chukua hata muda wa siku moja, siku mbili wamalize. Kitu ya pili, tunataka wale ambao walipewa promotion katika mwezi wa Januari wapewe promotion ambayo inafaa, si ile ya hazard. Yes. Na kitu ya tatu ambayo tunahitaji ni working environment. Tunataka madaktari wafanye kazi katika environment ambao unasaidia mgonjwa, sio ambao unafanya kazi ukisupervise tu watu wanakufa kwa sababu hakuna madawa, hakuna vifaa ambao zinahitajika.
Health Matters Muslim religious leaders in Kilifi County have asked the national and county governments to allocate more funds to the provision of health services. They said this after Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich announced that the government had allocated 47.8 billion shillings for universal health coverage. Sheikh Mohammed Al-Hatimi said the high cost of medication in the country had contributed to increased poverty of individuals and communities, and he also added that many public health facilities were still in dire need of better equipment and drugs. Al-Hatimi said that more Kenyans continue to suffer in the hands of cartels in public health facilities that he said hoard drugs and refer patients to privately owned pharmacies where the drugs are bought at exorbitant prices. He also said that many patients were being detained in hospitals for failure to clear medical fees, and this was due to the high cost of medication, adding that fundraising for medical purposes was currently the order of the day in various parts of the country.
Unakuta maisha hivi sasa ni magumu sana. Kuna watu ambao kwamba wana uwezo wa kufika katika hospitali kama hizi, lakini kuna ndugu zetu ambao kwamba ni binadamu wenzetu hawana uwezo wa kufika sehemu kama hizi. Bali utakuta kuna wengine wamezuiliwa mahospitalini, hawaruhusiwi kutoka, unakuta kwa sababu ya pesa. Wanadaiwa pesa nyingi sana, unakuta makaratasi yameenea sehemu mbalimbali, watu wanaomba misaada. Kwa hivyo hii ni jambo la kuhuzunisha sana.
To Kiambu County, and drama ensued at the Thindegwa shopping center in the county as members of a family forcefully ejected a delegation of church members who they claim had forcefully taken over their land.
Irene Washuka had had enough of the members of the Oasis of Hope Church and took it upon herself to forcefully remove them out of the family land with her car. And when she saw that the church members were not moved, she threw stones at the gate. Irene, who is a granddaughter to 83-year-old Washuka, claims that the church led by Pastor Hilary Mwangi wants to take over the half-acre piece of land valued at over 20 million shillings. The church had already started construction on the said grabbed land. Irene claims they had leased part of the land to the church, but the church went against their agreement.
Walikuwa wameagree lease half of the land. Sasa walikuja kabisa, si unaona wamekuja kabisa, wamekuja paka huko karibu kwa barabara na walitaka hata hizi zibomolewe. Walikuwa wanadanganya shosho, abomoe hizi awapatie ati wamjengee nyumba za mawe.
She also claims that the rental houses the church has constructed have not followed proper procedures, making them a hazard for the residents.
Tumeenda paka kwa wakili, tumeenda kila mahali, paka kwa lands huko kwenye walipewa nini approval. Tukapewa barua wabomoe juu hizi vitu walijenga zinabomoka hizi nyumba.
The family has vowed that they will not rest until justice is served. Helen Wanjohi, NTV.
Elsewhere, police in Kaloleni, Kilifi have arrested 26 people, among them 2 suspected Mombasa Republican Council members. Police officers raided areas of Jibana after information went round the suspected MRC gang was conducting a meeting within the area. Kaloleni Sub-County Police Commander Kennedy Osando, who was leading the operation, confirmed the raid and said they managed to arrest 2 MRC suspects and immediately launched a crackdown against rogue Boda Boda operators, now being 24 of them, according to what NTV's Judith Cherono reports.
Speaking with the press after the operation, Osando said the Jibana location has been marked for hosting the largest number of MRC sympathizers and practitioners. He affirmed that they are going to implement the crackdown to ensure all members and sympathizers face the law.
Katika ile kukusanyika kwa mamangwe ama kwa mahali unauswa munasi, si ati wanakusanyika kukunywa munasi, wanakusanyika kuongea mambo ambao ni kinyume na.
The OCPD said during the operation they recovered 2 MRC identification cards of one Kenneth Mwanchinga, who was believed to be leading the group for the illegal meeting. Osando said that the suspect was nabbed together with concoction and a write-up showing Arabic language, together with an old 20 shillings note with the face of former President Daniel Moi, which he believed were used for spiritual practices. MRC gang crackdown is going to continue until they flush out those operatives who he believes to be using the Kaya Jibana forest for their activities. Osando called on the Kaya elders to come forth to shed light about the gang.
Kama uko wewe ni jambazi na kijana, ninasema kama kiongozi wa vijana Jibana hii, uachane masuala hayo na uachane tena sana, kwa sababu serikali haiko kulenga na haiko kukuadhibu wewe kimakosa. Kama wewe ni jambazi, jiasalimishe.
The operation took place at Jibana areas, Sunguni, Chanagande, Kaloleni, among other villages, nabbing the suspects together with unroadworthy motorcycles. On the other hand, residents of the area were furious about the whole ongoing operation, raising questions of who were the real MRC within the area. Residents are now calling on the government to stop the operation, calling the police to focus on the real MRC and nab them instead of torturing innocent locals. The 2 suspects are in custody at Mariakani police station for further investigation. Judith Cherono, NTV.
Back to land, martyrs and residents of Mukuru Kwa Ruben have protested against cartels selling community land. The residents claim that cartels, with the help of the area chief, have targeted Maendeleo Learning Center, which has been a home for orphans and the less fortunate. According to Beatrice Mutola, who is the director, the school has been serving the needy for over 20 years without receiving help from leaders.
Sisi hatujauza shule.
tunafanya hii yenye unaona hapa ni rental, tunapata kitu kidogo kusaidia watoto. Hakuna basari tunapata. Tungekuwa tunapata basari, tunasaidiwa, hakuna kitu ingekuwa inanini hapa.
To some business news, the National Bank of Kenya's shareholders have voted in favor of a proposal to convert the bank's preference shares into ordinary shares, paving way for the proposed buyout of the National Bank by KCB Group. That function is ongoing. Let's listen in.
I think valuation is very early right now. We are waiting for the takeover documents from KCB. Once we get the takeover documents from KCB, once the capital market has approved them, then we have started engaging our independent advisor. Our independent advisor will advise the board on what the valuation of the bank is. Based on that, we'll recommend to the shareholders what our view of the transaction is. So I think right now valuation is just a story until the takeover documentations come in, and then we get our independent advisor giving us the value of the bank.
There's also been talk about KCB is one, or at least the biggest player in the industry. So questions about why KCB was the only offer on the table? Was there any other offer? Do you anticipate any other?
What KCB has done, KCB has just begun a process. After scanning the market, they saw an opportunity to buy National Bank shares, and they have done that. Now that they have put that offer to the shareholders of National Bank of Kenya, what the takeover takeover regulations 202 say is that it's open now for anybody else to do a counter offer to the shareholders. So it's a decision by KCB. We really do not know how they came up with the decision to put an offer, but it has opened now an avenue for any other person who has seen what is in the market to put in if they believe KCB's offer is low.
Final question. There was a question by one of the shareholders with regards to what happens to the employees NBK when this buyout proposition.
Again, we'll say that we'll wait for the offer documentation of KCB, the takeover offer documentation. We'll look at it. As a board of directors, we will negotiate that the employees of National Bank of Kenya are taken care of. They are important to the bank, and once we see what they have put on the offer document, then we will respond. Right now, it's too early to speculate.
And when is that final? But
Well, that is a conversation coming from that forum where the National Bank of Kenya's shareholders have voted in favor of a proposal to convert the bank's preference shares into ordinary shares, paving way for the proposed buyout of the National Bank by KCB Group. Now, 1.12 billion preferential shares of NBK will be converted into ordinary shares ahead of the acquisition, in which 10 ordinary shares of NBK will be swapped with 1 ordinary share of KCB. Now, more details coming out of that forum coming to us from Victor Kiprop, who is in attendance in our subsequent bulletin. Still on business matters, troubled Ekeza Sacco has continued with its low refund drive, this time reimbursing those who had deposits of less than 10,000 shillings. The latest drive saw the society run by controversial televangelist David Ngare, aka Gakuyu, dispatch about 20 million shillings to 1,500 depositors, with a Sacco on the spot for embezzling over 1 billion shillings to about 50,000 Kenyans. The latest payment implies that Gakuyu has barely scratched the surface. Gakuyu had promised to pay members in various savings clusters every second Thursday of each month, but he has not been consistent, asserting that the refunds are dependent on the availability of money.
We don't want to exaggerate and tell the world that we have done more than we have done. I have only done with 5,000 and 10,000 people. If anyone has not corrected his 10,000 or his 5,000, it is because they have not come for it. And I mean those people that had applied for withdrawal. Not everybody that I'm refunding money. It is those people that have applied for withdrawal. If you have not withdrawn, there is no money right now. I will have to prepare a budget for them and call them. But if I have not called them, they should not come.
Away from that, businesses in Kino 87 area in Kiambu County remain shut following losses attributed to ongoing heavy rains. The businessmen who have literally closed down their businesses claim they have been making losses daily and do not know up to when the problem will end. Transport in the area has also been paralyzed, making it hard for the traders to receive their goods. Market vendors next to the road have been forced to sweep away the excess mud to attract customers, and the traders are now calling on both the Kabete and Kikuyu MPs to ensure the issue of good drainage is solved. To something that's bound to get your attention, a male contraceptive study set to start in Kenya becomes or could help reduce teenage pregnancies in the country if it is successful. This is according to Kilifi Healthcare CEC Dr. Anisa Omar, who was speaking in a conference that brought together stakeholders to address issues of teenage pregnancies in Kilifi County.
Teenage pregnancies have continued to raise concerns in various parts of the country. Kilifi County has one of the highest rates of teen pregnancies in the country. Leaders and stakeholders are attending a conference to highlight possible solutions to teenage pregnancies. One pegged on possible success of a male contraceptive trials that had to kick off in the country. According to the Health CECM Kilifi, Dr. Anisa Omar, once the efficacy of the male contraceptive is proved, it would help in assisting in reduction of teenage pregnancies in the county of Kilifi that has among the highest number of teenage pregnancies in the country. However, she emphasized on the need of advocacy upon approval for use in the country after the study.
And if it does work very well, I think then as a country, I'm sure there's a Ministry of Health, it will adopt. It's only that we will really have to advocate the men to accept taking the family planning. Otherwise, any kind of family planning method is very important. To plan your family and also to reduce unwanted pregnancies, especially in our young girls.
Uptake of contraceptives among men remains a tall order in the country.
Family planning is very important to reduce pregnancies, be it whether it is in women or men.
Other than the rise in early teen pregnancies, the county is also grappling with unsafe abortions that have led to loss of lives among young girls in the county.
When it complicates now, and the girl comes to a hospital because either the uterus is perforated or she gets infection, ndio sasa tunaweza kumcapture, but that one will not be a true data.
According to the Kenya Demographic Health Survey 2014, teenage pregnancies in the country stood at 18% and 21% in Kilifi County. Eunice Omolo, NTV.
I'm sure a great debate will come or ensue from that, and we'll keep you posted on how that pans out. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission has turned to secondary schools in an attempt to quell tribal clashes in the country. The initiative is being implemented through peace clubs, which participate in debating competitions in schools dubbed their Money Club's National Debate. This year's debate brought together 70 schools and more than 700 debaters. Speaking during this year's debate for Peace Championships in Kilifi, NCIC Senior Program Officer Richard Nderito said students have demonstrated a high degree of cohesion through the drive. The debate is running from June the 10th to June the 14th. The debate was also co-hosted by Kilifi Township Secondary School. Apart from the schools, the students are also undertaking peace and cohesion initiatives in the community.
Tuko mstari wa mbele kueneza amani na utangamano, na haswa tumeingia kwa mashule kwa sababu tunajua kama tunalenga watoto ama wanafunzi ama vijana, watu wachanga, hao ndio wataweza kuleta amani ya ukweli Kenya hii, kwa sababu mawazo yao hayajaharibika.
Israel has officially laid its footprint in the country by setting up a regional trade hub at its Nairobi embassy, furnished with a trade attaché. The trade attaché's unit will also be allocated at the embassy of Israel in Ghana, a move that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said will help in building trade relations with countries in West and East Africa. Addressing students at Tech University in Ruiru, Israel Deputy Ambassador to Kenya said that the country was to resume its direct flights to Tel Aviv in a bid to boost tourism and boost business.
A small country like Israel has a GDP almost twice the size of Kenya. The irrigated land in Israel is surprising. Is 2,250 square kilometers of irrigated land. In Kenya is 1,030.
Time for the sporting action. Sean Cadavillas is ready.
And a very good afternoon to you, Sandy. Sports funding by the government took a significant hit in the budget that was read by Cabinet Secretary for Finance Henry Rotich. According to the CS, 7.9 billion shillings from the sports fund will go to fund universal healthcare initiatives, while 5.3 billion will go to support the youth, women and persons living with disabilities. This as those who bet on sports, a major source of funding to the sports fund, were hit with a 10% tax on their stake.
But I do want to say, as a result also last year, when we said that we were going to add a tax to gambling, I think this year I can proudly say that sports, culture and arts will truly take center stage in our republic.
Despite assurances from the highest office in the land that woes regarding sports funding will be a thing of the past, the budget speech read by Cabinet Secretary for Finance Henry Rotich has raised eyebrows.
In addition, Mr. Speaker, I have allocated 7.9 billion from the Sports, Art and Social Development Fund to fund the universal healthcare initiatives.
In what is a case of taking from one hand and giving with another, the Sports, Culture and Arts departments were allocated funds which they will share with people living with disabilities.
To support sports, culture and arts, I have also allocated 5.3 billion from the Sports, Art and Social Development Fund to support youth, women and persons living with disabilities in areas such as sports and arts.
The Sports Fund, which was anchored in the 2013 Sports Act, has through a series of legal moves undergone a transformation into the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund. This has seen it move from the domain of the Sports Ministry into that of the Finance Ministry with major changes.
The Sports Fund, at least up to 60% maximum, should go to health, which is usually the universal healthcare, and 30% goes to sports, and I think the 5% goes to arts. So in the sports fund, there is those limits which addresses the issue that you have just raised.
The funds in the sports fund are generated from money raised from taxes on betting firms. And in the government's continued fight on betting, Rotich took a swing on those betting on sports.
In order to curtail the negative effect arising from betting activities, I propose to introduce excise duty on betting activities at 10% at the amount staked.
The operationalization of the sports fund was seen as a solution to the problems facing financing of sports in the country. Just this year, the fund was used to fund the magical Kenya Open to the tune of 250 million shillings, the preparations for the national team to the Africa Cup of Nations at a cost of 244 million shillings, while the government dipped into the fund to offset athletes' compensation to the tune of 181 million shillings.
We set up the sports fund in order to be able to bring sports to a new level in our country. There were many challenges, but I pushed it, and we now have it.
However, the Treasury's control of the purse strings means that the future of sports in the country may not be so bright. Now, the Toronto Raptors delivered Canada its first NBA title with a 114-110 victory over the two-time defending champions Golden State Warriors. With the nation hanging on their every shot, Canada's only NBA team put the finishing touches to a remarkable 4-2 single upset that united the Warriors. NBA Finals win, which is the first in Toronto Raptors' 24-year history. The finals' most valuable player, Kawhi Leonard, as well as some of his teammates and Raptors coach, had this to say regarding their greatest moment in their basketball careers.
You know, just be able to win this championship this year is something special for me, because you know how... Rallied from a 2-goal first-half deficit to earn a 3-2 victory over Brazil on Thursday in Group C play at the Women's World Cup from Montpellier, France. Australia found at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Real Madrid ended their long pursuit of Hazard when they agreed to sign the Belgian winger from Chelsea on a 5-year contract for a reported 100 million euros, making him their joint record
round of 6 under par 65 to take a one-shot lead at the US Open, while Tiger Woods and two-time defending champion Brooks Koepka turned in scrappy efforts to stay in contention. Sitting two back at 4 under 67 are the Americans Scott Piercy and Nate Lashley, with 8 more a shot further adrift, including major winners Francesco.
Subsequent bulletins, stay with NTV. My name is Gladys Gachanja.